Now, also those non-listed large companies are going to have the requirement for reporting. So they should exceed two of these thresholds. So over 50 million in revenue, over 25 million in balance sheet, and over 250 employees. So if you meet two of these three criteria, then it is mandatory to report according to the CSRD from the annual year 2025.
Welcome to the Urbanista, where we discuss the water management challenges of Nordic cities. From safe drinking water distribution and stormwater collection to building sustainable urban living environments. Here is your host, Delphine Vesalo.
Hello, welcome back, Urbanistas. It's so nice to be back in your ears or in your eyes if you are watching us on YouTube. You know, there are many conversations around how companies are evaluating their sustainability efforts. Overall, in the context of corporate responsibility. But how to accurately measure and report those efforts? What do those efforts really mean for employees, partners, shareholders? Overall, these last ones, how does sustainability can impact the financial reporting of a company? Yeah, the finances. I'm pretty sure the investors will be interested on this, the investors from your company. And well, everybody's fearing the famous greenwashing, right? How do we avoid this? By tracking and by measuring and reporting all your efforts in a very transparent way? Well, today we have an expert to deep dive into all these questions and many more. So, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Ella Tanskanen. I'm heading sustainability services at Greenstep, and we provide sustainability services and financial services, HR services in the Nordic countries. And today it's very good to be here and talk more about the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and other related things.
Thank you so much, Ella, for being here today. And if we start from the basics, because I'm pretty sure many people out there they may not be, or at least not informed until the latest developments. So, could you explain a bit or explain a bit the key aspects of the European Union's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive?
Yes, very happy to. So, CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, is the new sustainability reporting directive of the European Union. And this regulation is intended to enhance transparency and provide comparability between companies when it comes to sustainability information. And this kind of more structured and regulated sustainability reporting helps investors, customers, insurers, and other very important stakeholders to put their money into companies that are actually providing solutions for a more sustainable future. And it's not just a reporting exercise, but instead it should be taken as a strategic tool that it actually helps companies to analyze their impacts, risks, and opportunities from a sustainability perspective. And when it comes to the schedule of the reporting, it's very interesting for many companies out there. This does not only involve those large listed companies that this has been the case before, but instead now also those non-listed large companies are going to have the requirement for reporting. So they should exceed two of these thresholds. So over 50 million in revenue, over 25 million in balance sheet, and over 250 employees. So if you meet two of these three criteria, then it is mandatory to report according to the CSRD from the annual year 2025. So it's coming really, really soon, actually, because it means that in 2024, you already start to prepare for the reporting in order to report all those material topics in
So good time
from
to
the year.
start.
Yeah,
A good time to start right now. Yeah, as we are.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
and many companies have actually already started.
all right. So just to be absolutely clear, what you
Mm,
mentioned, the companies that meet at least two of these requirements that you mentioned,
mm.
they are obligated. So it's mandatory
It
per law
is.
following the European Union. So it's not an optional thing or something that you can eventually substitute with
Yeah,
something else. All
yeah,
right. The
yeah.
companies that may not meet these two requirements because they are smaller, their scope is,
Mm,
their line of business is different. What about those smaller companies not meeting this criteria? Can they
mm,
do it? Should they do it?
mm. Yes. So, first of all, those listed small and medium-sized companies that are not exceeding these thresholds, they are going to start reporting from the annual year 2026. So it's coming very soon also for those companies. But when we talk about these companies that are non-listed, small companies, many of those have large customers who are seeking this ESG information from these companies. We have those discussions a lot. So it means that they need to report, they need to collect the data for their customers.
So even they may not be like directly or immediately obligated to comply with this anyway.
Mm,
It will be very convenient that they will start to do it anyway.
mm. Yes. So the customers they need to uh, when they need to report according to the CSRD, it means that they need to analyze their whole value chain. It's not just about the company operations, but instead they should take a broader perspective that is also required. So the whole value chain, and of course, these smaller companies are part of the value chain. So they also need to have the data in place. And now, what I pointed out there also was that it is a strategic tool also for the small companies in all industries. It means that now you should definitely take a look at your sustainability impacts, risks, and opportunities in order to be future proof.
Which would you say are the main challenges that for any company that in implementing this? Now, I understand you have been working already for quite some time and as a consultant advising this type of companies. Which are the challenges that you have seen, the key ones that they don't know where to start from or
Mm.
implementing the CSRD?
So I would say that value chain analysis is the point that has the primary challenges because the regulation enforces companies to analyze not just their own operations, but instead map and analyze the impacts for the whole value chain. And now companies at the moment, they have trouble finding their own ESG data from their own operations, let alone upstream and downstream impacts, risks, and opportunities. So I would definitely say that value chain analysis is the one where we can find the primary challenges.
All this, of course, it's based on data, which kind of adds an extra layer of complexity for companies that may not be that data driven, let's say
Mm.
so. The data management. So, how companies should approach this, managing all this data and verifications of the sustainability data to comply with the CSRD.
Mm. Yes, so the CSRD reporting, Uh, it is a significant data and information systems development process. So the handling of sustainability information must be raised to the same level of seriousness as the use and reporting of financial information. So this is, of course, a good thing because now investors and insurers, they are going to have more detailed, more comparable, more transparent information uh, so that they can actually make decisions. So this requires the extraction of sustainability information from the information systems and of course, this is also a field where many companies still have plenty of work to do.
Because this, I believe, this should be or is a strategic decision by the different companies. So there may be the initial challenge of they may have their own business strategy like set up already. So how do we integrate this extra layer, complexity or not, this extra layer of sustainability into the already existing business line policies, processes? So is this how significant this change you think it could be?
Well, of course, depends on the company. Much of this information is already there. It's in the HR system, for example, when it comes to social sustainability, or it's in the ERP system. But you just need to understand what kind of information is the sustainability information, and where is it at the moment. And this is where we need to kind of like narrow the gap between the current state of data, current state of reporting, and then the requirements of the future.
If we try to get down to, let's say, some concrete examples, because you said the data may be there in your HR system, the data may be there in your ERP, because that's how you control whatever you produce, how do you distribute it, etc. Because since this comes down pretty much of how a company operates, well, first, how the company operates, if it is the type of company that produces something, produces a product to then sell it, however is the way to sell it. So how are they producing that good? Manufacturing it, the suppliers that they use to get the raw materials, whatever they are producing. So are those also included? The stakeholders or the partners that company had?
Yes, because that is where we map the value chain. They are a crucial part of the value chain, and that is where they also need to find the current information of the ESG impacts.
Then I may assume that if in my company we decide to start doing this, our partners, our vendors should also start to doing it, because at some point we will require from them certain information, certain data, and if they don't have it, if it is not complete or in the same format that we would like to have, or that this is mandatory to have. So this is kind of a ripple effect. If I do it, therefore my partners, my business partners, should also start doing it.
Yes. And this is the discussions that we have almost on a weekly basis, that the company itself can be very small, under 10 million of turnover, but they have these large customers, or they are part of the value chain of a big company. And the big company needs to start reporting according to the CSRD, and they require a long list of information, and they need to be sure that the information is valid. So this is just like you explained, that this comes down to every company in some way.
But definitely there should be some layer of maturity, whether my company wants to do it and we are ready to invest on it and get ready. But if my partners are not ready or are too willing to do it because they have not the resources, whatever is their valid business reason, that may impact me because I cannot progress. So what do we need to bring everybody? First of all, I guess awareness. But what else do you think? To really bring everybody together, at least within your industry.
I think it's coming due to the regulation, of course, because it is mandatory, but also because it of course benefits those companies that can provide the information in place. It is also a competitive advantage that if you partner with us, we can ensure you with data that we are also a sustainable sustainable business, and our product is actually sustainable compared to other products on the market. So I would say that it should be taken as a competitive advantage that you have your processes in place.
All right. Now you mentioned, I mean, getting down to the details of implementation. First of all, whatever change management we need to have in place, of course, because this implies changing certain things in our company and with our partners. Second, okay, let's this measurement in place, implement technology, the tools. Can you talk about more the role of this technology, the tools, because we are going to manage a lot of one huge amount of data, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now AI, well, there you go. Whatever is buzzword, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How do we go about this implementing or using the technology or tools to process all this data?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, we have seen that there are many service providers already in the market that have noticed this business opportunity when it comes to sustainability information and new technologies. So I think that the customers have many options to choose from. So that is the first aspect, that the market is getting very hot. Um, at the same time, when it comes to, of course, the quality of the sustainability data, it is going to be further developed year to year. So we will see the technology development in the quality of data. And of course, this is also something that we tell to our customers as well, that when we start the reporting, if we start from scratch, that the company has not done any sustainability reporting before, the first report does not have to be perfect, but just the key is to consider the transparency, the clarity, that we describe where we are at the moment and where we want to go and what is still under development. So this is just like bringing some like positive mindset to this. If you are working in a company that has not done any kind of sustainability reporting before, um, it is a process, and it is a development process. When it comes to technology that helps us, it is going to be further developed for sure. Artificial intelligence applications, they bring value to our work as well in reporting, and I'm sure that it will in the future more and more. It makes professionals' work easier, but then I would say that it still cannot be compared with the experience of a professional, of a sustainability professional. Because of course now when we have new regulation, uh, we want to deep dive into it and also see the benchmarks that are going to be seen in the near future of how companies actually take this to their own operations.
So independently of the technology or the tools that you are using, that, as you said, eventually they will evolve. The
Mm,
message is start.
mm,
Start doing
yes,
it. Start
yes,
doing it. As you said, if you don't necessarily need to get it right immediately.
mm,
This is a process, and it's more the strategy of doing it step by step. Start small and then incrementally add more layers, or of course, as you get more information, to start to build up.
mm,
But start
yes,
doing it.
yes,
You had to get at it as soon as, well, as soon as possible. I mean, 2024 we are talking, so as soon as you possibly can.
yes, yes, and do not feel afraid, because as I mentioned in the very beginning, it is a strategic tool, and it brings you business opportunities. When you now start to map your sustainability impacts, risks, and opportunities, you can find the business opportunities there. So now would be a perfect place and time to start doing it so that you can actually develop your business further to be future proof.
Right. Since all this started, I mean, this legal framework coming from the European Union, are there any other policies or any other at the European Union level? I mean,
Mm.
other policies, other related regulations that we should be aware. This European Green Deal. I mean, there are many things going around. Is there any other thing that we need to consider together
Mm.
with the CSRD?
Mm. Yes, well, I would say that these policies and frameworks, they are well designed to work seamlessly together and complement each other, especially CSRD, taxonomy, and SFDR, Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, SFDR. So these work seamlessly together. It's the purpose of them. And also the future CSDDD can be very relevant for sustainable urban development in the future. But yeah, they link seamlessly. And actually, it says in the just one example. It says in the ESRS 3, ESRS is European Sustainability Reporting Standard, ESRS. It says that sustainability statement users will be able to understand whether, how, and to what extent the undertaking is contributing to the European Green Deal's ambitions for fresh water, fresh air, clean water, healthy soil, biodiversity, as well as to ensuring the sustainability of blue economy and fisheries sectors. So this is just one example of the links that are there in the ESRS when it comes to, for example, the European Green Deal.
We have been talking about the technology, the tools that can evolve as well as they do uh, normally. But what about the future of the actual normative? Do you preview any further development of the actual requirements or amendments, or how can we get prepared, or the companies can get prepared for eventual
Mm.
amendments on the CSRD?
Well, some future developments, of course, the sector-specific standards are an essential part of this package, and they are coming at a later date. And as we've seen now during this year, for example, we've seen updates on CSRD, for example, when it comes to these criteria. We first had a threshold. We had 40 million, but now it's 50. So this kind of developments can come for sure in the future as well. But I would take this as it is. For example, these criteria, they are now here. And there is kind of like no, don't have to worry about this just not coming after all, but instead we should now act and go forward.
All right. So this is certainly a complex topic, and it's not only collecting the data, reviewing your processes, documenting everything, and of course, in a transparent way to to present it, but also to communicate it. So how do we communicate this? Because well, all the every company is afraid of this very feared greenwashing. Yeah,
Mm.
doing something apparently with a sustainable way, but not really having not substance in the end. So that's what the greenwashing is. It's just apparently. So how do we communicate this? If you have everything in place, do you think that's one of the key things to how do we communicate all this?
Mm. Yeah, well, the key is the transparency of the progress that is done and what is still to come, so that the work is in progress for sure in every company. And I would say that many companies out there, they don't mean to do greenwashing. Of course, there are companies out there with different reasons, but in many times it's just about perspective is a bit too narrow when it comes to sustainability, and we pick maybe not the right words to describe, or we don't understand the context and the complexity of it. So I would say that with the CSRD, with this very formal, regulated way to report on sustainability, it brings out the work in progress. It brings out that you have the targets in place, and you have the measures in place to measure the progress, and the topic is measured in a proper way. And this is very interesting information to all stakeholders, and it ensures that that you can show a good trend. You can show that, okay, now you measure it, and now you have set the targets. And when you have the data in place, you can verify your stakeholders to your stakeholders that, okay, I'm showing a good trend as it is in financial information. So we have to take the seriousness of the financial information. We want to show a good trend in the financial statement, and now we also want to show a good trend in sustainability performance.
Right now, you are touching something, yeah, super important, super interesting for the investors, I'm sure, which is the crossroad between all the efforts that you may be doing to comply with the CSRD, all your own efforts of keep your processes, the operations of your company sustainable, right? And then from the other side comes the financial performance of the company, pretty much, yeah, revenue and profit, however you are doing. But now we are coming to this crossroads where all the sustainability information and reporting can add value, or how can we approach these two things when they merge, the financial information and the sustainability information?
Mm. Yes, so when it comes to CSRD, double materiality analysis is required to even start the process. And
Double materiality
yes,
analysis. What is that exactly? Just for the sake of clarity, yes.
yes, thank you. It's good to clarify. So, double materiality, it means that you analyze the impacts of your company, and in the whole value chain, to environment and to people. So the impacts, the negative and the positive impacts, and then also you analyze the financial materiality, which means that you analyze how the sustainability um, topics, for example, climate change, how they impact to your business. And so they will be, this impacts, risks, and opportunities. Uh, they will have a monetary value. So that's one key change. And of course, companies want to describe the opportunities because that is information that is interesting to your investors. You can show your potential, you can show your um, value. And of course, companies have done this kind of risk assessment in the past as well, because it's of course very important for the whole business continuity. But now we also talk about the sustainability related risks, as I mentioned, climate change, and for example, floods. How would a flood affect your factory? Uh, how could you mitigate these type of risks? What is the cost of the mitigation? And also, these identified risks should also include the assessment of irremediability. So it means that we should analyze, is this type of risk, is it permanent, or is it not permanent damage? So new is the risk assessment with monetary value, including the sustainability related risks, but also opportunities, their monetary value. and that this is very strategic discussion in the company.
Well, yeah, now it comes down to, in terms of risk management, as you mentioned, yeah, you can evaluate how likely, what would happen if I have a flood in my factory, whatever I am producing. It is not just the impact on the actual production or performance of that factory and whatever comes as a consequence in the product that you are producing, but that also will impact, I mean, financially, that will also impact the sustainability side of your reporting. Whatever happened with the field, with the that is besides your factory, so that actually should be a key thing in the risk assessment. And yeah, now it comes from both. And as you said, that's how you need to evaluate from both point of view, but both point of view, what is the potential damage that we can get for the company financially, and yeah, so that is actually one of the key insights that I'm taking away from this. What else can we advise companies beyond all the things that we have mentioned? What else can we advise the companies for that are planning or are thinking already implementing the CSRD?
Well, one key aspect that was maybe not discussed that much yet is the fact that you have to take your important stakeholders on board. It is required by the CSRD that stakeholders should be engaged to this process. And maybe you can start by discussing these sustainability main topics in your own management team first, but then you should go to your stakeholders. You can have interviews, you can have surveys, for example, but the main point is that they can point out what do they think are the most material sustainability topics when it comes to your business, and they can be different from your management team's point of views, but they still need to be engaged to this process and they are evaluated. So that is one key thing to remember when you start the alignment process, that you cannot do it just with your own people there, but you should bring your stakeholders on board. Those can be customers, investors, of course, but also, for example, environmental organizations or other NGOs, because they can have very valuable point of views, and you can have valuable discussions that can also help you identify the impacts, the risks, and opportunities.
All right. So, Ella, this has been super insightful. I mean, we have touched many things, and I guess the main message is, well, start uh, thinking, start already planning how are you going to comply with the CSRD. Start small, doesn't matter, but start. Then you can expand more. Transparency is, I believe, one of the main things that you are advocating for, even though you may not be fully not have all the data, all the things in your
Yeah.
hand, but at least say it's transparent. And yeah, watch out with these deadlines in the next 2-3 years. Be aware of how, and I guess well, get help. Get help from the expert if you are not too much into this. I don't know. I'm just trying to get these 5 main points. Would you like to add something else? What would be the one thing that you would like that companies remind or keep in mind after this conversation?
Yes. So I would say that the key thing is that this CSRD should be taken as a strategic tool, and it helps you. It helps you to analyze the impacts, the risks, and opportunities. And this type of analysis, it can bring you the new opportunities. It can help you to make sure that your business is future proof, because we will see how the environment around us is changing. We can see the impacts of the climate change. We can see what kind of human rights risks are arising in the value chain, for example. So this is a key thing for your business to be future-proof.
Thank you so much, Ella, for sharing your wisdom with us and with our audience today. And as we mentioned, as this directive may evolve and tools and technology, I will kind of commit you within, I don't know, 6 months or so. Can we have another conversation to
Of
update
course,
on all these things?
always happy to
Right.
be here. Thank you.
Right. So to keep, yeah, our audience, you urbanistas out there, this is something you have to bring up to your board of directors, and yeah, don't forget about it. Thank you so much, Ella, and thank you, urbanistas, for listening. And see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Urbanista podcast, a production of Uponor Infra, the leader in sustainable infrastructure solutions. If you found it interesting, why don't you share it with your colleagues? We all together can move our industry forward.